and it started with a telephone system, and I became a hacker to actually pull pranks on friends that had phones. I would change their home phone to a class of service of a pay phone. So whenever my friend tried to make a call, I would say, please deposit 25 cents. So I kept going on from these pranks, and I ended up hacking into companies to look at source code to try to figure out security vulnerabilities so I could exploit them, because my objective was to become the best at circumventing vulnerabilities. And my primary drivers were strong curiosity, seduction of adventure, and most importantly, for me, it was pursuit of knowledge. Well, eventually the FBI tracked me, and we were in a cat and mouse game for about 3 years. When the FBI was looking for me, I actually hacked into a cell phone company in Los Angeles and was actually tracking the agents as they were moving around and finding out who was calling them, who they were calling. And of course, as they were getting closer, I was moving farther away. But as everybody knows, the FBI always gets their man, so they eventually caught me, and I became the example. I served 4.5 years in pretrial detention, and then I settled the case for another 6 months. But now everything is fantastic because I still hack, but today companies actually pay me, and I do it with authorization. So they pay me to find all their vulnerabilities so they could fix them so the real bad guys don't get in. Well, it had a very strong impact. I lost my wife over hack. I caused a lot of distress for my mother and grandmother. I spent 5 years in custody, and during this time, while I was in pretrial detention, I spent a lot of time assisting my attorney on how to fight the case because he didn't really understand much about computer hacking. His expertise was the law. And eventually, after the case was over and I was let out of custody, Fred Thompson and Joseph Lieberman actually invited me to testify for Congress on how the government could better protect their computer systems. So I had the honor of actually appearing before Congress and offering my opinion. It's scary. I mean, here we have the Rupert Murdoch case where in the UK, where it was easy for information brokers to hack into cell phones, well, to the voicemail system of cellular phones. And it's really easy. I mean, this technique has been around, for the last 10 years. They use a technique called caller ID spoofing, so they could trick the phone company that you're actually calling from your own handset and get access to voicemail. But a lot of nowadays, we hear a lot about Anonymous, who are hacktivists, and a lot about LulzSec, who seem to be, hacking for the media attention and for the kicks. And I think it really raises security awareness because now companies and government agencies realize that that the internet is a hostile environment and they really need to shore up their defenses. And I think the security awareness is that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. A lot of businesses have an internet presence and they're not auditing their computers or their applications well enough to stop the hackers from exploiting those vulnerabilities. My drive was I hacked into companies and I looked at source code so I could study it to become a better hacker. I hacked into cell phone companies and got access to their source code so I could create invisibility as the government was looking for me. And to me, it was like a huge video game and an endorphin rush. I mean, it was immature, was illegal, of course, and I'm sorry for injuring companies because they didn't know who was hacking in, so they had to spend money on trying to figure out who it was. And of course, that was a very negative thing, and I'm sorry for it. And today, the same types of vulnerabilities that I exploited, notably a technique called social engineering, where hackers call an employee or email, for example, they'll email an employee at a company a PDF file. Well, that PDF file actually is booby-trapped. So when the victim opens it at the company, it exploits the vulnerability in the software on their desktop, and now the hacker has complete control of their computer, which is connected to the company network. So what companies need to do is train people on not to fall for these types of attacks and also keep their software updated, meaning the client-side software on their desktop, so it helps build that immunity from these type of social engineering attacks that are very popular today.